Hey guys, it's day 5. The first thing we're going to do is get that trench behind me fixed up. We're going to put new cables in it so we can get ahead of that problem. And then we're going to start on those RF Nulls that I keep talking about. Now we're setting up for RF Nulls, and we're just going to go through one pair at a time, checking to see where the null position is out in the near field. Since you're doing one pair at a time, all of the pairs that you're not looking at, we're going to put a dummy load on the port and all the cables. Okay, we've got pair 1 connected, and the technician in the near field just gave me a 7 and the 150 on the center line. So that means I'm going to put my elbow, this is an elbow, we're going to put this in the right feed line. And if you remember when I did the initial cable lengths, I cut all the left sides initially. So I'm expecting now to have to cut the rights, and that's what the numbers tell me out there in the field with a predominant 150 hertz tone on the center line. When I put this elbow in line with one right, that's going to shift the null across the center line, probably into the 90. And with those two numbers, that before and that after, I plug those into a calculator here on the laptop. It's going to tell me how much to cut on one right cable in order to position that null on the physical runway center line. Okay, let's take a minute to talk about the two different ways that you can do nulls out in the near field. The first is DDM nulls, and that's what I'm using here today. What DDM nulls are is it utilizes the modulated signals 90 and 150 hertz from the transmitter. Out in the near field, we're using the PIR set to DDM and standing on the runway center line. We don't move the PIR from that position during DDM nulls. So hooking up each pair by pair, we record the DDM value on center line. Then we put the elbow in whatever side that we need to in order to shift that null across the center line. Together with that first number and the second number, we have an amount that's the null has moved. And we can calculate with our spreadsheet how much to cut out of what side of the cables in the distribution unit, left or right. And with RF nulls, we turn off all our modulations at the transmitter and reduce our Course CSB power down to 3 watts. Out in the near field, we use our PIR set to RF level, and we use what's called the bracket method. With RF levels, you can't measure the null because it's too broad. So you have to find higher signal strengths left and right of that null. So you have to take 2 different measurements with the PIR. And then from those points that you found, you measure that distance with the tape measure, divide it by 2, and then you find from that point to the physical runway center line what that offset is. And that right there tells you where your null is using the RF bracket procedure. Okay, we're out here in the near field of our localizer that we're cutting in, and we're using DDM nulls. So we're just standing on center line, but I wanted to show you some of the ground checks that are out here in the near field. And you can see with these yellow chevrons that we're clearly standing on the overrun for the 1.9 approach. And so we're on the 150 hertz side, and this is our 2 degree point, our half width, 1 degree. Here we are standing on center line. This is what we're trying to cut for 0.000 DDM. And on the 90 side, 1 degree, half width, and 2 degree. And of course we got 35 degrees that sweep all the way out to the left, and 35 sweeping out all the way to the right, way out there in the grass. Okay, so after that cut, we ended up with a 36 in the 150. Okay. So we're a little bit short. We're gonna have to cut a little bit more on the right side cable to get that closer to 0, but we're heading in the right direction. Our antenna nulls are almost complete, and so far this is what we've ended up with. These are the final null positions that we've recorded for each pair, and we're almost done with pair 4. We might work on pair 2 a little bit more. We got a 4 in the 90. I'd like to see that a little bit better. And then when we're all done with these, we'll hook it all up and see what the composite centerline reading is. Okay, we got all of our antennas hooked back up to the distribution unit after completing individual pair nulls. So the composites today were a 000 DDM on centerline for clearance only, and then when we went to course only, we got a 1 in the 150 on centerline. And that sounds pretty good to me. If we look at our facility references, that's exactly what we had. It was 1 in the 150 on transmitter 1 for the centerline. So this completes the RF Null procedure. Next we're going to do transmit phasing. We're going to phase the course first in the far field, and then we're going to phase the clearance here at the near field at the 2 degree points.